Do you see where that whole school board resigned?
That's why she just announced that she turned the microphone.
That was crazy.
One phone's bad enough, isn't it? One work.
I just wanted to make sure that was turned on. One never knows. One never knows when people train on.
Oh, that's true. Or like when you're on the phone with your wife and your car's at the shop, at the patrol, and the Bluetooth kicks on and she's screaming on the phone and the mechanics are sitting in the car going, how do I turn this off, Ty? I was like, I don't know.
I don't know, I've been trying to turn it off for years.
I said, better her yelling at you.
I
than me.
will find the switch either.
No, she's not listening. She knows. She's usually screaming about the 6-year-old.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome all the guests out there, I guess in YouTube land. We'll move for the move to approval of the agenda.
Okay, I want to make a change to the consent agenda part and add the addition to the sub list. The guy's name is Frank Baird under consent agenda.
Okay,
And with that, I make a motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
or we have a motion by Dennis to amend,
Second.
second by Ty. Further discussion? What'd you say his name? Baird?
Frank Baird, B-A-I-R-D.
10-4. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, right hand? 6-0. Open forum.
Nobody.
All right. Approval of consent agenda.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay. Motion by Dennis, second by Lori. Further discussion? All in favor, right hand? 6-0. Approval and transfer and payment of bills. Did you have any questions?
I'll make a motion, we approve the transfer of payment bill.
We have a motion by Mark,
Second.
second by Naomi. Further discussion? All in favor, right hand? 6-0. Reports, elementary, Ms. Kingsley.
We'll start with attendance. It's at 299, and we actually have 2 students starting tomorrow, so now we're over 300.
Wow.
Yeah.
Starting to.
Launch, we do still have just 2 students participating in the virtual learning launch program. Lots of celebrations and highlights. Our K-1 care team met the first time this year, and that's just a group of people coming together to kind of share expertise around kids that are struggling in the first grade. And so the staff members worked to identify some interventions for these students. We had 15 students that we talked about that day, and identify interventions to help them with their most challenged area. And then letters were sent home to parents, letting them know that they're well enough below grade level of concern, and that retention is on the table, although our goal is not to retain people, and that's not what we want to do. What we want to do is get interventions in place for the child, and let parents know that this is the area that they're struggling, so that there's no surprises about where they are. And so maybe we, get them, help them be aware of where the child is. So I think we had some pretty good interventions that were put in place from that really great discussion we had that day. Leslie Herndon, one of the other kind of changes we've made is she is a new para. She's working with SPED, but she has a little bit of time during the day that we've been able to pull her and help with first grade math. That was an area, we have a lot of first graders, but we needed a little more support in math. In that area, we haven't been able to provide much support in math outside of the normal classroom activities. So she is helping out with several kids there. Evaluate testing is taking place this week. Due to snow days, we just kept pushing it back, but we're anxious to see what our February data shows us. Lori Laverick from RPDC, she works with us with District Continuous Improvement. And she came today, actually, and met with grade level teams. We looked at 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, and just went over all kinds of map resources. They're on the DESI side, helping the teachers kind of know the latest and greatest things that we could be looking at to prepare our kids for map testing, which is coming up pretty quick. Did want to mention that we moved the TV that was out here down to the cafeteria because we don't have a lot of visitors coming in and out of the building to see what's going on. So we've got it in the cafeteria now, and it's been kind of a big hit. Teachers are just dropping pictures on there regularly, and kids are watching that during breakfast and lunch, and kind of been fun. So thank you to Eric for helping make that happen. We appreciate that. Our Dibbles reading benchmarking is finished, and we've been working with data meetings last week, some over Zoom, some this week. And what we're doing is just looking at our data to see whether the kids have improved from the beginning of the year to now, moving kids around, getting them in the just right group. We have a ton of celebrations that have come out of that. So many kids that have moved. Areas where we had significant phonics concerns that no longer have phonics concerns. Really big shout outs to the staff and to our Title I staff who's done an amazing job in a very short period of time, grabbing a hold of this idea of the science of reading, grabbing a hold of this data and really getting interventions in place that help kids. When you draw back and look at the data, we still have kids that are in red or in struggling areas, but when you look closely at the numbers, you see this huge growth taking place. And so we just have a lot of celebrations, and we've been putting together a shout out to the staff with a lot of things we want to share with them that they've done. It's really exciting, really, really exciting. Our kindergarten team, Mrs. Plume and I interviewed several candidates for kindergarten position, and we do have a recommendation tonight. We were really thrilled with the candidates that we were able to interview. Math committee has been formed, and they're tasked with the job of us looking at our math options for next year. Go Math is the resource we've been using currently, and that is no longer going to be produced, and so we're looking at where we want to go, what that looks like. The teachers have worked on building their standards-based curriculum now, and so they have a much better handle on their standards. So we're having lots of really good discussions about where we want to go with math and what kind of resources we want to pull in and what that might look like. And DESI is putting out a priority standards, so that's also going to shift things a little bit because they're actually putting together priority standards. So we're going to have to align ourselves a little bit to that as well. But we were having some pretty good discussions, and teachers are investigating a lot of different really good math programs. So we'll hoping to have a good recommendation for us to start purchasing for next year. We also have a phonics committee right now formed. As we've really looked at journeys, we just holistically don't really feel like it has the resources we really need to teach a systematic tier 1, like classroom level phonics program. And we know that we absolutely need that if our kids are going to get up to 3rd, 4th grade and not have phonics issues. So if they're going to be able to read to learn, we've got to get them ready to do that, and phonics is a big piece of that. So we're also looking at several really fantastic phonics programs and looking into what might be the best fit for our school. So we have a committee who's looking into that and sharing out lots of things with the staff. Our February 8th PD day was really productive. We had so many good conversations that day and good happenings going on. Dr. Jill Brown was here with us finally. We've been talking about her and sharing things that she's been sharing with us, but she was able to be here with us, and she presented on the science of reading. And we had a vote after that presentation. Right before we went home for the snow day, snuck it in real quick, a quick vote to say, where are you? What are we doing? What do you think for next year? We've had all this conversation this year. Do we want to move forward and put our eggs in that basket? And we want Jill to come back and work with us. And it was a unanimous vote, yes. So they were excited about what she's going to bring to us. They're excited about moving this direction and really feeling like they have something to really look at and to know where their kids are. Really understand where their kids are and what they can do to help them. So we're pretty excited about that. And then Tasha Hoslog from the middle school came over and did a little presentation about dyslexia, which was very well received. She got some questions in response to that and has given us some feedback there. So really good conversations. Laura Voss, also from the middle school, came over and helped the staff understand a little bit more about how to use Go Guardian, which is a program that helps them monitor what their students are looking at on their Chromebooks, which came in very handy last week. And the teachers loved it, and so that couldn't have happened at a better time for her to come over and do that with us. But they were able to monitor from home, and see what the kids were working on and give them some feedback or say, that's not going to help you. I don't want you to Google the answer. I want you to figure it out. So they had some fun feedback from that. They were like, this Go Guardian is awesome. So Debbie Wagner shared some Google cheats and hacks to help you out with Google. Christy Warren shared a really great quiz site that she uses with her kids. It's really easily adaptable to all kinds of content. Mrs. Meebrewer and Mrs. Wolf shared some virtual tips for teachers, and all of our committees met, and they just continued the work that they're working on. And we had our Valentine parties. We snuck that in on the 12th, which was great. Kids were so excited to be here that day. Progress reports were sliding to Thursday. We need a little time kind of to recoup from our snow days. We do have kindergarten roundup coming up next Wednesday, I believe, and March 8th we'll have our kindergarten screening. Third quarter ends on the 12th, and we'll see you back here on the 16th, I guess. So, any questions?
I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
So last week when we had that snow, we did I give credit to the first graders. I was at home with my daughter because I was working nights, and we did Zoom 2 days, and I give the teacher credit for that because I couldn't have handled that. With all the kids screaming at the same time on the Zoom and it changing the screens, I couldn't keep up with it, but I'm sure everybody has their own little virtual thing, but credit to her and the other teachers last week because I'm sure that was a mess. And I was enjoying it. My wife was really enjoying the fact that I was home those days.
Well, thank you. It was hard work for them. I know they enjoyed it, but whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
On a computer looking at the kids, so.
And the kids were scoring it, but.
They had a good time.
And then I got to see people's deer in their yard and whatever
Yes,
else.
we did too.
Yeah, you were there. Yeah, you were on that one with it. Yeah,
My
so.
daughter was like, we see deer in our yard. I'm like, shh. don't go."
Yeah, exactly. That's what.
Yes.
So it was a good time. So
You get to really have the insight into people's homes. It's wonderful.
yes.
All right.
But anyway,
Thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you.
Middle school, high school, Mr. Pavel?
Start with enrollment. Enrollment's staying pretty well the same, 320 is where we're at. Right now, I know we had a student that came in today that's looking to come back. She went down and then went to Cuba or somewhere, and she looks like she's coming back to her district, so hopefully that'll change next month if we go to 321. Discipline, it's come back from Christmas break, gotta have a little bit of reminder, we have to be places on time, we have to do those little things. So that was up a little bit last month, where we had 27 total referrals and write-ups last month. Ms. Sherman and the drumline performed for a retirement ceremony at Osage County Ambulance District on the 19th of January. They raided cold, went out there and performed for the retiring person from the Osage County Ambulance District. Lauren Williams is named the OC Ag Cat Student of the Month. She was nominated by Joyce and Charlotte. Something to just kind of a touching moment to share with that. Hopefully Lauren doesn't mind me sharing this. She felt the need to really give Joyce Hicker a hug and tell her for saying all the nice things you said about her and how much it meant to her. So that is really a neat thing for her to receive, and she's very honored to receive that. High school and middle school faculty finished their dyslexia training and completed that on the 8th at our PD meeting. That's our dyslexia training that we're required to do every single year. And that was led by Tasha Houslaw. She did a great job for us. We did half the training in first semester, and then we completed our other half of the training here on the 8th, along with meeting and going through our DCI and working on common formative assessments for the rest of the year. The plan is to have, everybody's going to have 2 done, which most of our teachers are there. Some are going to have 3 done. So we're going to take that data and start developing data next year and really start to grow those CFAs. Wildcat Students of the Month, 7th grade. In January, 7th grade was Katie Robinson. 8th grade was Gracie Schaefer. 9th grade was Lewis Stroke. 10th grade was Olivia Helmick. 11th was Myra Baker. And then 12th grade was Connor Berry. All I have. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Now, how many kids do you have doing virtual still?
We're still the same amount. We're still at 9.
9.
High school students can't transfer back once they've started the semester.
Oh,
So
right.
it'll be that way.
Yeah, I think you told me that before. I'll probably ask you again next month. 'Cause I'll forget. I'll forget that you said that. So
We'll give you the same one.
you just give me the same number next month.
I'll let Coach Crouch take over athletics.
So we were able to finally hold homecoming on February 5th versus South Callaway. We were able to recognize the 2001 third place state 1A girls cross country team, the 2011 second place class 1 boys golf team, and then the 2011 state champions class 1 cross country boys. The Booster Club was gracious enough to honor all the coaches. They kind of talked to me a little funny write-up about them and kind of introduced them to the whole crowd, and then we all got little jackets. But I thought it was a really cool thing to do because I know a lot of times people aren't always for sure who the coaches are. They may see a name, but that kind of let them put a face with the name. So I thought that was pretty generous of the Booster Club. And then the cheerleaders were able to perform at halftime of the girls' game. And then the homecoming court, Noah Hall was the prince, Lauren Peterson was the princess, Hayden Phillips was the king, and then Renee J. Quinn was the homecoming queen. And then Caleb Mawson, he scored 1,000 points against New Haven at the Herman Tournament on January 28th. And then he also went over 500 career rebounds against South Callaway. And a couple other things individually for some of those guys is Andy Husey made 6 threes in a quarter, which is tied for 7th all time in the state of Missouri. And Caleb had 25 rebounds in the game, which is 17th all time in the state of Missouri. So I thought that was some pretty cool things that they accomplished. Currently, the boys' record is 14-7. We were still receiving votes and polls, which I'm not really sure how. We didn't play all that well, but we finished second in the Herman Tournament. And then the girls are 12-9. They hosted the first round of districts last night and were able to beat Bells, and then they play Wednesday against at Russellville at 6 o'clock in the semifinals. And then the boys play Thursday here at 6 o'clock against either the winner of Tipton or Bell. And then if either one of us were to make it, the championship game is at Stover High School this Saturday. The girls' game would be at 2 o'clock, and then the boys would be at 5 o'clock. So, any questions? Thank you.
When the spring sports start? I think you told
Practice starts Monday.
Monday.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Superintendent report.
As is typical this time of year, students are gearing up for spring competitions for FCCLA, FFA, and FBLA. Some of those are going to be virtual, some of those are going to be in person, but they are still, for the most part, getting to participate in competitions like they normally would. Mrs. Wolf did complete the postgraduate follow-up as required by DESE, and that's where we have to track 6 months after graduation. We have to track our graduates and see what they're doing. So of last year's graduates, 19% are employed, 31% are in a 2-year school, 36% are in a 4-year school, 2% are in the military, 8% are attending other advanced training, and 4% fall into the other category. So, 67% of our kids went to a 2-year school or a 4-year school, and so that's a pretty good number. Right now, we continue to have lots of scholarship opportunities available, lots of summer opportunities available. Our juniors who are taking the ACT with us are scheduled to do so on April 30th, so that is coming up before we know it as well. As far as community involvement, again, Clay has already talked about homecoming and basketball. I know FFA had to reschedule their labor auction. Do you know
We don't have a date yet.
They don't have a date, okay. And then I don't know, I just had the opportunity to be out in the greenhouse recently, and they have got some really great things going out there. So I know they're really looking forward to when their spring sale happens. We are too, because that means maybe we won't have any more snow. So that's what we are hoping for. On the recruitment of highly qualified staff, Mrs. Kingsley already talked about elementary care team meetings. We've already discussed homecomings. Principals are finishing up walkthrough evaluations and doing their summatives. Student surveys are taking place. One of the things that has been so beneficial this year are those PD Mondays. We have really been able to get some high quality professional development on those days. When we did early out Wednesdays before, it's so hard to get much accomplished in an hour, whereas these full days have really allowed us to get a lot done and more than one thing. Like Tracy said, Jill came in and worked with them for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then we were able to move on and do some training and some other things and so on. So it just has really been beneficial to get more bang for your buck. Maybe, I don't know how else to put it. It's just that it's been really beneficial to have that huge block of time. And we've gotten some really great things accomplished in those times. One of the things I can tell you that I'm knee deep in right now is just the preliminary budget for next year. So I hope next month to be able to come and give you an idea of what it's looking like for next year. A couple of things just to keep in the back of your mind. We are going to have to add a position at the elementary for next year. Our kindergarten class this year is large enough to where we will have to have 3 classes next year in first grade. So we will look at adding a position in the elementary this year. And we are hoping to add back in the assistant principal position that was cut this year due to funding. And then look at, any of the other positions that were cut as well. But I'll have a little better idea, I hope, funding wise, of where we are next month. Of course, the goal is always to get teacher raises and steps on the salary schedule. So that's always in the back of our mind as well. One thing too, and this kind of also goes along with facilities. So I'm sure most of you know that we got another round of CARES Act money, and it was pretty substantial. So the district this time received approximately $311,000. And of course, especially when you get that large sum of money, everybody wants their piece of the pie. What we as an admin team have started doing is sitting down and developing a list of the things that we know we need. What do we need? For example, some of the things on that list are a phonics series for the elementary, a math series for the elementary. The high school roof needs redone. We've got some HVAC problems at the elementary school. So we're trying to develop a list and then systematically come up with a plan for how we would like to spend that money. Because what we don't want to do is just piecemeal it out and not get what the district really needs. And so we're trying to really develop a systematic approach to that as an admin team. So hopefully we'll have a little more information on that next month as well.
Is there certain things that you have to spend with it, or was there like a limit?
There are. Now, having said that, there are ways that you can, so for example, you might be able, right now you're scheduled to pay for Project A out of these funds, but really that could go under CARES Act money. So you could pay Project A out of CARES Act money, which then frees up this money for something else that may not fall under that.
Okay.
So that's part of what we're looking at. But a couple of things that you definitely can spend it on are things that increase the air quality in schools and that lead to better health and safety conditions for kids at schools. So like the high school roof is a perfect example that would definitely fall into that. One of the things Dennis was in today when I was talking a little bit about this, even though our HVAC system here at the elementary is only 6 years old, we've got some real problems. And I don't know what it's going to take exactly to fix those yet. I'm still working on that. But as examples, there's a spot in my office where there's a Freon leak and it's leaking down into my office. There's a spot in the lower elementary workroom that has a huge leak. There's a spot in the upper elementary hallway that has a huge leak. And so when I've had Brian Goss come in and look at those, honestly, it was just not a high quality installation. And so, for example, in my office, where the leak is, they're going to be able to fix it. But if it had been 10 feet further down, somebody misestimated where that wall was going to be. So those pipes are actually inside the wall. So had it been 10 feet further down, they would have had to have taken out the whole wall because they piped it inside the wall. And so that's the kind of thing that we're seeing over and over. One of the things when you put that piping up is that it should have hangers so that it hangs up off of everything and is supported, and that wasn't done. So we have lots of places where that's hanging down, and so now over time, it's starting to come apart, or it's laying on top of our insulation, and then it's causing those pipes that are aluminum to erode. So we have leaking issues there. just to fix the leaks that we have now, he's gonna have to find a day, because he has to take the whole system down, he has to drain the whole system, he has to fix the leaks, and then he has to recharge the whole system. And then you have to check for leaks once you recharge the system to make sure you don't have leaks somewhere else. So, I mean, it's a problem. Ryan has been extremely good about coming in. He has kids in the district, so he really is he cares about what happens here at the district, and he feels terrible about it, even though they weren't even involved in the project. So he's trying to help find ways that we can fix some of these things as inexpensively as possible. But I'll tell you, his last words to me were, I can help you hobble along for 5 years or so and just continue fixing these things that are going wrong. He said that at some point, it's going to be more than we can just fix. It's going to have to be done right. So knowing that, and knowing we have this CARES Act money sitting there, that's also in the back of my mind, because air quality is one of the things that we can use to add on. So if we're looking at a huge expense to fix our existing HVAC system, I would rather use CARES Act money on that than have to use district funds, which then could put off the track project.
Right.
Could put off another project that we're having to do. So just so you know, we're trying to be very systematic about that and come up with a plan on how to use that money in the best possible way. Another thing that Steve is in the process of doing is replacing light fixtures in the locker rooms. I'm pretty sure that the ones that were in there were original to the building, and it was starting to melt the bulbs, which seemed like probably that wasn't a good idea. So he is in the process of replacing all of the light fixtures in the locker rooms in the field house as well. And we also had some work scheduled on the greenhouse. The watering system is broken. If you'll remember, we had some huge water overage charges back in the fall, and that's what caused it, is that watering system was broken. Thankfully, we do have some FE4 money, which is grant money from the state coming in that will pay for a portion of fixing that. And then we also got a donation from Pioneer Seed that will pay for a part of that. So that project really shouldn't cost the district any money.
Is some of that because of the hard water?
Yeah. I would say it is. So, and then while we were out for extended snow days, we had to replace a part. This area up here in the elementary all of a sudden wasn't heating. And so there was a leak, and it was a part that, thankfully the part was under warranty. But of course, we'll still have to pay for the labor and all of the Freon and everything. So, but they were able to do that while nobody was here over our snow days, so that thankfully it didn't impact the kids any, but we did get that fixed. And so at some point we'll get a bill for that as well. And then later on tonight, we'll talk about my meeting with Porter, Brenzen, and Associates. And one other thing, happy late board appreciation week, since we weren't here last week. Between open session and closed session, we do have cake for you over there tonight, so we'll get that cut. The gifts that you have on your table are from the high school, and then elementary did theirs last month. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We'll move to discussion action items. McKinney-Vento program evaluation.
I'm a little upset you just now mentioned the cake.
Okay, so this is our homeless program we go through and do every year. So some of the things that I've in the duties, job summary, and description are all in there. I'm not gonna go through and read all those by details. But one of the things I do is just make sure that we are staying up in compliance on DESI. That's basically what I've done. This year I did that on October 7th. That was a webinar. This year, normally that's a meeting, or they would send out a test, just to make sure that you're in compliance, you understand the different parts of the Homeless Act, and make sure you are providing that for your students. We currently have 2 students who do meet And if all in compliance, one of those students would be traditional, and then the other one more non-traditional as far as following. It doesn't necessarily meet the actual definitions for the home, or for the act. And then at the beginning of the year, to start the school year, we do provide service to our entire staff, middle school, high school, and elementary. We do that at the beginning with our all-district staff meeting. And then I provided that in August this year before we came back. Do you have any questions about it?
Thank you. 7.2, approve the 21-22 calendar.
The draft calendar is exactly the same as what it was last month, so I don't have anything to add at this time. Everyone seemed to be in favor of it. The staff had a lot of opportunity for input if they wanted to. No changes from what was presented as a draft last month.
I'll make a motion to adopt the 21-22 calendar as presented.
We have a motion by Lori, second by Dennis. Further discussion? All in favor, right hand. 7-0. Approved 21-22 health insurance rates.
As you all know, health insurance is always a moving target. There's a way to turn this.
Is it down at the bottom? And that little black?
Oh, yeah,
It's usually
you-
down there.
You don't know.
Oh, like
You
those
don't
down there.
know.
Oh, yeah.
Don't act like you
Oh,
know.
I think it looks like it.
Just I can figure out how to turn it on.
I was gonna say I can too, but, all right,
So I printed the
thank
note.
you.
Just gotta be a tech guy.
That's right.
You just got to set your monitor
Yeah.
sideways.
Yeah, that's it. Turn it over.
That way on the table.
That's why it opens like that, so it can sit
So
sideways.
at the very
That's not how
bottom,
you
you will
would
see
know.
where I've written in what the rates are this year, just for basis of comparison. One of the goals that we have on our CSEP plan is to fund 80% of the highest plan. So 80% of the highest plan is 50220. So my recommendation, which is what we're funding this year, the $5,000 deductible HSA plan, the cost of that is 50204. So my recommendation would be to continue to fully fund that plan at 50204 per district employee. This year, that plan was 471.58 per district employee. And so the total cost to the district, if we fund that increase, is approximately $28,534. But it's my recommendation to continue to fund that plan.
So it went up like, what, $30 or
About $30.
something? Yeah.
Which in the whole scheme of things, considering some rate increases we've seen before, isn't
No, that's usually not too bad.
I'll make a motion, we approve the health insurance as presented.
We have a motion by Mark,
I'll second.
second by Lori. Further discussion?
So you give employee 7 different options?
Yes.
Is that normal with the other districts, or do they limit it to 1 or 2?
Through OSBA, it's very typical of the other districts to offer all of those plans. That's a very typical rate sheet for OSBA proportionate districts.
Any other discussion? All in favor, right hand? 7-0. Approved senior trip.
You want to talk about this at all?
Yeah. Okay. Seniors have chosen to go to Branson. They like to go down or.
Yeah, they like, yeah. Want to go down
May
tomorrow?
2nd through 4th. So they leave Sunday morning, so it'd be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then they'd be coming back Tuesday afternoon. Tuesday afternoon. They would like to go down to Branson, spend a day at Silver City. They're talking about spending one of their days at Big Lake.
Table Rock.
Yes, Table Rock Lake.
Maybe you don't want to.
Yeah. You're doing a bang-up
Just
job.
Different activities and putting together different activities right now. Getting the funds all together and then putting together their final plans while they're down.
I think last time we talked, we had 34 kids signed up.
34, that's gonna fluctuate up and down. Give or take 4 or 5.
How many are in the class?
There are
60 something.
64.
64 in there.
64.
So what do you do with the half that doesn't go?
In the past, that's just been,
Oh, free day.
School.
or no, past they come to school, they just.
Oh, they just still come to
They
school?
have to come in school on that Tuesday. It'd be one full school day. with her.
Oh, yeah. You said Sunday through,
Tuesday.
yeah, I forgot they don't have school on Monday. How did I forget that?
How many days? Was it just one night that the previous seniors went to that camp with Mr. Bauer? Was it 2 nights?
The fishing,
Yeah,
the trout lodge.
yeah.
And I think still just one school day. I think they went down Friday,
They-
Friday,
they-
Saturday, came home Sunday.
I'll go ahead and make a motion for the senior trip.
We have a motion by Dennis,
I'll second.
second by Naomi. Further discussion? Will this be school provided transportation or?
Yeah, the senior class will pay for the transportation.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, right hand? 7-0. Approved facility study expenditure.
So as I mentioned before, I did meet with the representatives. From Porter, Branson and Associates. And they actually had given me a cost proposal to do the facilities report and the long-term plan. What I would like to do right now is just to have you approve to do the facilities report, and then from there, we can decide whether we want them to help us with a long-term plan or whether we have enough information in that report that we can make that plan ourselves. But some of it tells you there what all they're gonna look at. And again, it's not to exceed $3,000, but they basically come in and they look at everything. They look at the interior, they look at the exterior, they look at parking, lighting, roofs, plumbing, mechanical, electrical. They just basically come in and do a really in-depth study of your building and help you determine if there are things that, that you need to really consider. And one of the things they also do is really look at it from a student safety standpoint. Are there things that you really need to look at fixing or repairing or updating from a student safety standpoint? As you know, our high school now is 20 years old. Our field house is older than that. I don't remember exactly how old, but, so there may be some things there that we need to look at that we're unaware of. And I just think it would be a good idea to have someone that's more of an expert come in, look at our facilities, and help us develop what our needs for the district are. I mean, again, we all kind of know some of the broad things, and we all have our own ideas. But for example, I don't know if the electrical capacity at the high school is sufficient for what we need. I don't know if the plumbing is going to deteriorate in 5 years. So just someone who would be able to come in and help us do those things. And again, they would come in and do that for no more than $3,000. And then they provide, they showed me when they were here a copy of the report that they provided. It's extremely detailed. So I'm asking to approve having them come in and do the facilities report for no more than $3,000.
When would they do that?
They said they're about 6 weeks out probably right now. So it's probably going to be the first part of April.
And another local school district ordered that here a month or two ago.
Yeah, Chamois.
Have they had theirs done yet?
They have had, they don't have the actual report in hand yet, but they have been there. They just don't have the actual report in hand yet, is my understanding, or was my understanding when I met with them.
Can we talk to other schools that have had this done?
They have a really good reputation in the area, yes. Trying to remember the school that they showed me. It was a larger school. I want to say, it may have been Columbia, actually. Yeah, I mean, it was very in-depth, and obviously ours won't be to that level, because we're doing all in one.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the facilities report. We have a motion by Mark,
I'll second.
second by Dennis. Further discussion?
So this is for like with the shorter version of it, I guess you would say, not a full. Is that what you were saying? Like they do two different kinds?
So they do the report first, and then once they do that, if we want them to come in and help us prioritize, this is what we want to get done in the next 5 years, or the next 2 years, or the next 7 years, or the next 10 years, then they would come in for an additional fee.
Right, okay.
And help us.
So this is just to pay for the,
And probably do budget and all
they
that.
come in, look at,
Yes, just
the
to come
problems
in and
that we
basically do an in-depth inspection.
okay.
Is how I kind of look at it.
And ultimately, they're trying to build more work by finding our issues, but
Right.
Any other discussion? All in favor, right hand? 7-0. 7.6 food service discussion.
One of the things, and I had put a sample in your board packet, but one of the things that I would like us to explore is the possibility of having contracted food service. And again, that doesn't mean, just because we go out and do a request for proposal and solicit proposals, doesn't mean we have to select a contracted food service company. But I think we're at a point where we need to explore our various options. It is getting more and more difficult for us to find food service workers with minimum wage continuing to go up. As a small entity, it's much harder for us to meet minimum wage requirements. And one of the things that sometimes food service management companies are able to do is offset some of those costs, those food costs and whatnot, because they bid it out as an entire company. So they would bid out milk as an entire company. And so their milk bid per carton is going to be much less than ours is. Bread, food, any of that they do the same way, which then allows them to better meet those minimum wage requirements and some of the benefits that we have a more difficult time doing. Again, if we go out for proposal and we get proposals, nothing says we have to accept any of those. We can still choose to be a self-serving district. I just think financially, it might not hurt us to look at our various options and see if there are other options that may or may not fit our needs better. And so it doesn't necessarily require a motion. I just want to make
How would
sure
that
that we're
work?
all in understanding that that's what we're doing in this, that nothing in this is saying we are definitely moving to a food service management company. It's just looking at different options.
So they would come in every day and provide us lunch and breakfast?
So if the vote at some point were to move to a food service management company, it would be just like us contracting with River Bus Services for us. They take over the entire food service program and all we do is pay them.
I got
Got
you.
that over to Flint Tech, so.
We use Great Western Dining over there. They do a lot of colleges. I don't know if they do high schools.
The primary ones that do high schools are OPA, Fresh Ideas, does schools, Chartwell some, but those are likely the ones.
They still provide employees for,
They do, and
because I think that's some of the problem too, is that you're having problems,
tremendous problems
staff.
with staff. Not with our staff, I don't mean that, but
Right.
getting
Filling
applicants,
the positions and
filling the
keeping
positions.
them.
And one of the things that I will do, hopefully tomorrow or if not Thursday, is sit down with the cafeteria staff too and tell them, this is what we're doing, this is why we're looking at that, because you know how rumors get started and the next thing you know, we'll be switching to somebody and they'll all be up in arms and I don't want that. So I will be upfront with them as to why we're looking at this, but they will retain all of your current employees who want to continue to work for them at no less than their current rate of pay. We do have one employee who has been with us a long time, and so has been paying into peers and is within, I want to say within like 5 years potentially of retirement. There is, all of the other employees in there, at the most, this is their second year, so they haven't been paying into peers. But this one employee has, and so if she elected to, we could keep her as our employee so that she could continue to pay into the peers system. Everybody else would work for the company. And honestly, in essence, she would too. They would be her boss, but we would still be the ones employing her so that she can continue with non-teacher retirement so that she doesn't have to transfer all that over to a 401k or whatever they offer. So we do have that option too for that employee that's a long-term employee.
Is there a lot of schools around here that do that? Do you know of?
It's becoming more and more prevalent for cost-saving measures.
Right.
I know Bell does. Bell uses OPA.
Herman used it years ago. I'm
Yeah.
sure they still do.
I don't know, of course. I know Bourbon did, so that one I know, but I don't know what all schools in our direct vicinity do, but I can definitely find out.
Yeah, I'm probably jumping the gun here, but you're asking, I'm just kind of curious. And then you answered the other question I had about our current employees, what would happen to them?
And one thing they will also do for us is, provide us a list of schools so that we can call any of them we want to and say, how's your service, what kind of service
Yeah,
you
that's-
provide,
I would,
that
yeah.
kind of thing. And it is a pretty lengthy process. I mean, it's not something we'll have done probably even by next month, but it's at least something we can start looking at and see if it's even an option we want to explore or not. Unless anybody has any further questions.
So do we need any kind of a motion or anything?
No,
for-
it doesn't require a motion. I just wanted to make sure you all were aware of where we were headed, where I would like to head with that, and make sure that there wasn't any blatant opposition to exploring that opportunity. And again, the decision is still the board's decision when it comes down to it, so.
You never know. We might not even get anyone to bid on it either. Who knows?
Yeah, you just don't know.
Okay. Any other discussion? We'll move on to announcements. The next regular board meeting is March 16th. However, I will be out of town that week, and Mark, you will be out of town that week. So if we want to move the meeting, we can. It's up to whoever.
It is teacher hiring month, so I feel like if all of you can be here at a different date, that probably is the best option.
Or maybe you should have picked a different day to go on vacation.
Think that's gonna happen?
Well, I'm not saying you are. More about Sam.
I
He's always-
didn't hear what you said there, Disney World.
Yeah. I miss.
Does the 23rd work, or it's just 1 week later?
That works with me. I'll be back then.
Cut off the teacher conference, Jack's is what, April 4th or something like that, or
April 15th,
April 15th?
so yeah, it gives us plenty of time to get that done. So the 23rd work perfect.
Does that work?
I gotta figure out how to change it in my phone.
Next,
Motion to change the meeting date to the 23rd of March.
we have a motion by Dennis. We have a second? Second by Lori. Further discussion? All in favor, right hand. 7-0. So next regular scheduled board meeting will be March 23rd, 2020, at 2021, I'm sorry. 6:30 right here. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the closed session, section 10.021 R Missouri, 1 legal, 3 personnel, 13 personal records, no 6.
We have a motion by Mark,
I'll second.
second by Dennis. Further discussion? Roll call, Sean?
Yes.
Yes for me. Ty?
Yes.
Naomi?
Yes.
Mark? Lori?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
7-0. 7:22.
I'm gonna add that in my calendar, change it. Terrible.
Yeah.